Pablo Picasso once stated, "We all know that art is not truth. Art is a lie that makes us realise truth." From painting and poetry to symphonies and sculpture, the arts bring beauty and illumination to some, confusion and frustration to others. But what is art? The idea of a work of art, created by an artist, did not truly exist before the Renaissance. And what value do the arts still have? Do they still make us realise the truth, or are they increasingly rarefied and obsolete in this digital, disposable age? With me to discuss the wide spectrum of the arts are Stephen Merchant, graduate of the University of Warwick and award-winning writer.
Thank you so much for having me.
And Karl Pilkington, a man with no qualifications, very little education, but who is now known the world over as a man with a head like a fucking orange.
Alright.
Well, I suppose if I can pick up on something from your introduction, Ricky, you posed the question, in a sense, what is art? It's a very broad term.
It's a very difficult one as well. I think the earliest people to ponder it were the Greeks, and I think they thought that art was, and its point was to try and emulate as close as possible the beauty of nature. So they knew art was a sort of, a quest for beauty, and I suppose they thought nature was pretty perfect in its aesthetic, and so the point of an artist was to try and tap into that.
Well, let me throw that question over to Karl Pilkington.
What do you want to know?
Well, we were just trying to clarify what art is. Ricky's just referring back to the Greeks.
It's just something for your eyes to look at.
Right.
It's just a change from the norm, innit? I mean, that's why I think most people have it. But then, the problem is, I'd never buy a piece of art. I don't see the point in buying something, because I know that my eyes will get bored of it eventually.
Right.
So it's better to keep it in a museum, like a lot of places, a lot of museums keep the stuff, they rotate it, because people get sick of looking at it. They shift the art around, don't they? People go, I'm sick of that now. They move it around the world, let someone else's eyes look at it.
Well, that's more to get everyone the chance to see it, as opposed to people who looked at it once and now sick of it.
Oh, not the shitting Mona Lisa again. If
No,
I
but
have to
how
stare
many
at
times
that
can you
little
look at the
bitch.
same thing? I think there's a snobbery with art. I think people do go,
Well, I
have you
think
seen the new one at the Louvre? Oh,
Well, I
yeah,
think
it's
there should
lovely.
be a snobbery with art.
Why?
Because the world is full of idiots, and just because there's not safety in numbers with art. I think you should be a complete fascist when you're creating a work of art. I don't think it is open to utilitarian or democratic referendum.
At
You
the
end
end
up
of
with the X Factor winner that way.
No, I know, but that pleases the masses. That's what I'm saying. When there was a painting knocking about when I was a kid, right, called The Blue Boy.
Yeah.
Now every house had one, right? It turned out that it was just a bloke who had a load and he was flogging them to everyone. But the thing is, that sums up art to me. Someone's got a load, do you want one? Go on then, I've got a wall to fill. And they stick it on. It's not, no, what does that represent?
Well,
What's that going to bring to the room? It's just filling a gap. And that's what art is to me. It's filling a gap that would otherwise have nought in it.
but you're obsessed with the functionality of things. This is all you're ever obsessed with. What's its function? Things always need to get you from A to Z in some way. And art's not about that.
Have you got much art in your house?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it gives me pleasure, and I don't get tired of it. I don't get bored
Do you
of
look
it.
at it every day?
Well, it's there, isn't it? It just adds
Yeah, but other things
a
are there.
pleasure to
Dust
it.
is there, but
Surprisingly, I've not compared
I think
art
I've
to dust
looked,
as often as I perhaps should. But the thing about, and this I think may be intriguing to you, Damien Hirst, of course, is more of a conceptual artist like Tracy Emin, and a lot of what contemporary art does is followed on from a guy called Marcel Duchamp, who I'm sure you're familiar with. Now, he famously took a gentleman's white urinal like you'd find in a pub toilet, and he put it on its side, and he signed it with a fake name, and he put it in an art gallery. Now, he did that in about 1917, perhaps a bit later.
it just annoys me, because there'll be snobby people who haven't got a clue, and they're looking at that and they go, oh yeah, I see what he's trying to say.
Well, that might make them think. They might.
Damien Hirst, I don't feel angry with Damien Hirst really, because he's
Right.
getting away with it.
But why does that annoy you?
Because it's people falling into the trap. Damien Hirst, before he dies, I bet he goes, what a laugh that was. I had everyone on.
There's a very good point as well, because some people think that the greatest art form of the last 100 years is marketing.
Yeah.
Some people say that that is his art, that it's not good enough to do it. You've got to then get away with it. And if the point of art is to inflame, I don't think anything inflames people more than the discussion about whether something's art, or if someone's taking the piss, or if someone gets 50 million for something, do they deserve it? Is it worth a hospital?
Well, what do you think? What do you think of the shark in the tank?
I think I was blown away by it. I thought I'd never seen anything like it before.
It was sort of spectacular because it is so huge and so vast, and to have put a shark, you know, in formaldehyde and to have hung it in an art gallery, it's very striking when you see it.
Yeah,
it's a remarkable achievement.
But what is he? Is he an artist or a fishmonger? What he's done, anyone could have done what he did.
Yes, but not everyone did it. He did it. This is an interesting point that you raise. It's the same old point you always raise. Not anyone could have done it. That's always the same point you make. Anyone could have done it.
Carl,
but they didn't do it.
You could say the same about Michelangelo. Is he an artist or a painter and decorator?
Well, it hasn't caught on, has it? Like the crying boy photograph. No one's having them in their house. No one's gone, oh, have you seen this? Have you seen the new trend, a shark in a tank? No one's got the room, no one wants it. And that, to me, shows you what's popular. At the end of the day, if everyone wants one, he's got to be good, hasn't it?
But I think if people were given a chance to appreciate more sophisticated things, then they would. And I just think I think that's true in all walks of life. You know, it's an acquired taste, and the best things are an acquired taste. They really are.
Well,
you know, if all you eat is processed cheese and white bread, you get a taste for it. But if you try something that's, you know, in my opinion, better than that, then, you know, you'll leave that behind.
That's pretty rich coming from you.
I know, I love a bit of cheddar, don't I, on Mother's Pride.
Yeah. Whereas if you were to be offered perhaps some calamari, your reaction would be...
Squid, get it out of my face.
Sure, yeah. But I take your point, Rick. Thanks for it anyway.
Calamari was an artist, by the way.
I mean, I haven't got pictures in our flat because of that mirrored wall I've got.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, it's tiny. He's been in it. I've got windows on one wall, door to get in on the other, kitchen on the other, mirrored wall on the other. So there's
No
nowhere
space for
there.
art.
There's no space for art.
I'm intrigued how you sit at home. Where's the sofa?
At home.
Yeah.
Facing the mirror.
So you sit looking at yourself all night,
Yeah.
as opposed to a painting.
Yeah, but at least that changes each day.
No, it doesn't.
It does. The picture
No,
changes.
it's not. It's round and miserable every fucking day.
No, honestly, it's good to, because you don't look at yourself otherwise, especially me. I haven't got any hair to comb or anything, so I don't look in the mirror as much as the normal person. So, whereas now, I'm looking there every day.
So you're sat at home staring at yourself?
No, because the telly's in front of the mirror.
But are you not distracted by yourself?
Yeah, you do. When the adverts are on, you look up, and if Suzanne's sat next to me, I tend to talk to her through the mirror.
What do you mean? So why don't you look at her when you talk to her?
Well, you don't have to turn your neck or anything. There's no neck usage going on. I can just look forward. I look at the telly, lift the eyes up, look in the mirror, look at me, look at her.
What does she do? Look back at you
We're
in the
used
mirror.
to it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like there's more people in the room in a way. It's like,
And they're further away.
there's nothing odd about that. Why wouldn't you use... It doesn't matter. Your
Sorry,
eyes, remember, your
why
eyes
wouldn't
are
you
still...
talk to your girlfriend via a mirror all the time? Is that your question?
Well, no, I think it's quite normal. If your head is facing a mirror where you can see everything in that room, remember, it's a small flat, I can see everything that's going on in there without moving my head. Stephen Hawking would be well happy. So I can look forward, she's sat next to me. If I'm watching the telly, I can say something. Now, she's getting the sound from me still, because she's sat close.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're further away, but things look better from a distance anyway.
So that's how you managed to keep this relationship alive?
Maybe.
You're such an odd little man.
But no, it's not odd. You see, there was a woman on the estate who did use... have I told you about Miss Piggy before?
No.
It rings a bell. Go on.
I think I told you ages ago, it's this fat woman who used to be on the estate. She had a three-wheeler bike. And her husband...
Push bike, pedal bike?
Yeah, like a tricycle thing, but a big one.
Right.
She used to sit her husband in the basket in the back. Cycle about, what have you.
Yeah.
She was known as Miss Piggy. Anyway.
Oh, is this the one that she used to beat him up so your dad pretended to be a policeman?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh,
That's the
yeah.
one, yeah. You remember?
No, I don't remember this.
Yeah, she used to always duff her husband up and that, and people in the area knew that she was being a bit tight on him. And my dad went round with his mate and sort of...
But what's this got to do with the mirror?
Anyway, well, the way she used to communicate, she used to always go in quick save and nick biscuits. And if anyone went up to her to say, stop nicking the biscuits, she'd pull out like a little mirror out of a bag, and she'd look in it, but talk to you via the mirror.
Oh man!
What?
This
So she's
place is
insane.
up. It's weird, isn't it?
It was really weird.
Like
It used to scare me.
It's like a Salvador Dali painting. you exist in there.
Yeah. It's really, really
So
weird.
hang on. So she used to talk to people through the mirror because she was mental.
I couldn't sit, watch the telly, and look at me watching the telly in the mirror all night.
No,
That's
no,
weird.
that would
Why?
be really weird.
It's really weird, Carl.
Hello, I'm Ricky Gervais. To some, society is a cage trapping and oppressing free-thinking individuals. But to others, society offers essential structure and regulation, preventing anarchy and the worst excesses of human behaviour. Each society has its own codes of conduct, ways of doing things. But who decides these social norms, and how are they governed? From the formative democracy of ancient Greece to the communist totalitarianism of Soviet Russia, history has shown us that there are as many forms of society as there are people to populate them. To discuss society and our place within it, I'm joined by Stephen Merchant, award-winning writer and graduate of the University of Warwick. Hello. And Karl Pilkington. You know the score, little round-headed twat.
Right.
In ancient Greece, every year 500 people would be selected from that Grecian society, and they would have to sit there that year, and they would propose laws, and everyone else would vote on them, and that was their obligation. They were obliged to be one of that 500, if they'd be like jury duty, called up, and then they had to propose their ideas, and then the rest of the citizens voted on it. Now, if you're in that position, alright, you're called up, what rules and laws are you instigating?
You might go, right, I want an egalitarian society. I want freedom for people. I don't want slavery. I don't want any sort of oppression. Would that be high on your list?
Well, you could say, you know, when I worked at Cordon Bleu, there was times when I thought, I'm being treated like a slave here.
You weren't though, because you were being paid and you were free. So.
What do you mean? I wasn't free. I was on like from 9 till 6.
Yeah, you had the choice to leave the job. Slaves didn't have the choice to leave. They wouldn't go. They go.
I didn't have any
actually,
choice.
Actually, Mr. Jackson, I'm thinking of leaving your employment.
No, 'cause
the money's no good, and I don't like the
like
dwellings.
No.
They didn't have that choice.
I didn't have a choice.
Yeah, you did.
The only other choice was Tesco, and they'd already turned me down.
No, that's not. That
I
wasn't.
had no choice,
That
that's
wasn't.
why.
That wasn't the lack of choice given to most
But the slaves who built the pyramids, that wasn't an option for them. It wasn't like they could go and, well, I could get a better gig on the Sphinx.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
No, you're not saying anything. You're saying absolute drivel again.
Here's a little Greek proverb for you. A society grows great when old men plant trees whose shade they know they shall never sit in.
What do you think of that? That's amazing.
Can you say it again?
Say it again.
A society grows great when old men plant trees whose shade they know they shall never sit in. Do you understand?
Yeah. Just saying, they're planting a seed, they grow a tree, but trees take ages.
Yeah.
It takes a long time.
Yeah.
That old fella's not going to get any joy out of that.
Right.
But, if he's lucky,
Yeah.
fella next door might have done the same years ago. So it's all about sort of planting a seed, looking after each other.
That's great, actually. It's not. I don't think it's directly
It's
what
almost,
it means.
it's almost the point.
Yeah,
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he means that future generations. But yeah, if the next door neighbour had done that, then yeah, that works as well.
But you seem to agree that that's a good point. Do you agree that seems a good point to you?
But I'm sort of guessing he enjoyed gardening anyway. Part of the enjoyment was in planting that seed.
we shouldn't have-
It's the old metaphor problem again, isn't
I know,
it?
yeah.
It's not specifically about trees. You know, you plant the tree, as you say, and you may never see the beauty of or the benefit of that tree, but other people will.
But as a metaphor, what he enjoyed is the fact that he's added to society and human life, and he's got a legacy and all that.
But by the same time, when I went to Ibiza, right, now there they have motorbikes, people flying round on them, people don't wear helmets. You might even get 3 people on a moped. I saw a farmer with a goat in a basket. They don't care. They're whizzing around at high speeds. A lot of deaths there.
Yeah.
and they'll have a lot of those areas where someone's come off, been killed. People put flowers there,
Yeah.
and because that happens a lot, it's a lovely green island. Now here, we're saying wear an helmet.
You're saying
what?
that all the deaths make it nice because there's
makes
flowers.
it lovely.
Because there's loads of flowers
So
everywhere.
with death comes beauty. So that's another metaphor. You can have that one.
That was one of the most
Now-
tortuous things I've ever... That was extraordinary.
But look at London.
That was extraordinary, Carl.
Right, Carl.
Well, look at London, though. Let me finish my point.
Let him finish his point. Let him finish. I'm intrigued.
Right, London, councillor with his clipboard, need a speed bump here, I saw someone doing 35. Put some traffic lights there and a pedestrian crossing. Pelican crossing there as well. And a speed camera.
Right.
Horrible and grey. No flowers.
But you still see flowers left behind where people have died in terrible accidents.
They're not
You see
very
that
good
all the
ones.
time?
They're stuck to a lamppost with elastic band round them. They don't look nice.
He's knows the quality of flowers. Yeah, but the point
Wow.
is
Some 15-year-old got run down and you're disappointed at the quality of the flowers.
Look at this, Suzanne. Fella lost his head here. Geraniums? Fella lost bloody head.
Well, that's so
We have to encourage gun crime so that people will get shot in inner cities and then we can put flowers up and beautify the area. Is that
No,
what you're
but if
saying?
an area's nicer to look in, nicer to be in, if it's nicer looking, you don't get people speeding around like lunatics. Because they go, I'm not in a rush, I'd quite like to slow down
This
here
is
and look
so
at the flowers.
complicated. So now what you're saying is because an area is grey and gloomy, people speed around to get out of it. In the course of doing that, they knock people down, but then flowers are put up, which then makes the area beautiful, thus stopping people driving around at speed so death no longer occurs.
Well, they keep having to get out of their cars to put down flowers. And
they get knocked down.
Yeah.
By other people on their way to put some flowers down.
Yeah.
Just sometimes people have to die, don't they? There was a fella outside our house who hit a lamppost. He had a helmet on, but his head come off.
You made me laugh at a man's head coming up because the way you said it.
But that's the thing.
he had a, oh God! There's a man outside in a house. He had a lamppost, he had a helmet on, but his head come off.
So you're saying that because in that one instance, the helmet did not save his life.
His head was in great condition. It's just not attached to his body. And that's what I'm saying to you. Sometimes people have to die. How far do you take all this stuff of you know, safety gear and slowing down and wear bright clothes at night? And it's just too much.
Very important point, you see. We give people crash helmets, we give them, you know, seat belts, we make them wear that, right? Do you think that's right for a start? Do you think someone should be made to wear a crash helmet? They're only hurting themselves.
Crash helmet. I don't think you should get fined for not wearing one. But then if you come off a motorbike and you hurt your head and you didn't have a helmet on, then you can't sort of go, well, they should have had speed bumps there. I didn't realise we were going too fast.
Don't forget, we're not just protecting him, he could be a father with 2 kids. So you're going, oh, let him, if he doesn't want to wear a crash helmet, let him get brain damage. Is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying, we're over the top in this country.
No, but
when it comes
you're
to that
saying,
sort of
if you're
thing.
saying no, if he doesn't want to wear a crash helmet, let him not wear a crash helmet. He doesn't wear a crash helmet, he comes off his bike, he smacks his head in, he's a vegetable. He's like that, sitting at home like that. And yet the 2 little kids come to you, you're in charge, don't forget, we've put you in charge of society here, and they come to you, 2 little kids, they go, President Pilkington,
What?
why did you let my daddy not wear the crash helmet?
I didn't. We paid, we put leaflets through the door. We had adverts on the telly, Sunshine.
Yeah, but why?
It's your dad's fault.
But why wasn't it compulsory? Because he wanted.
It's not the way we live in, Sonny.
Now I haven't got a daddy.
Has he got an helmet at all? Have you seen an helmet knocking about?
No, he's a vegetable now. Yeah, he didn't want to wear a crash helmet, but why didn't you make him wear a crash helmet? It wasn't just him, it was us. Why did you turn my daddy into a vegetable?
Where's your mum?
Mum left when he kept going on about not wearing a crash helmet.
I'll put you in a home. I just think, you see, this is the problem. Everyone's looking for someone to blame.
Yes, but this is interesting though because you were particularly callous to that little 4-year-old boy who seemed so sweet and adorable.
Yeah.
But why wasn't he giving this stick to his dad?
Well, his dad's dead. He's a vegetable.
He's dead.
He's good as dead to him.
His dad went within the law. It was not the law to wear a crash helmet anymore because you said, forget it, I don't want a nanny state. I don't want, if you wear a crash helmet or not. He wasn't a responsible parent. He hadn't thought it through. But this is your job. Some people aren't responsible. Society keeps them on track. This was you were in charge. You should have made him wear a crash helmet. He had 2 kids.
We've heard from one of the kids. What's the other one's attitude? Is he younger?
He's a bit younger.
Is he even younger still?
Yeah.
President Pilkington.
Oh.
My brother's crying now because you shouted at him. I wish you'd have made my daddy wear a crash helmet.
Why didn't you make your daddy wear a crash helmet?
Well, he won't listen to me because I'm not in charge
He didn't
of
listen to
society.
me.
Yeah,
He seems like a bit of a numbnut, to be
no, he
honest.
did listen to you.
What did he
because
do
you made
for
a
a
new
living?
rule saying people don't have to
Right.
wear crash helmets.
Right. What,
And he listened to you.
Did he pop shoes on in the morning when he went out? Or did
Yeah.
he need to be here to tell him to do that as well?
No, there's certain
Oh,
things
so he
that
has
you
got
just-
some common sense then.
Well, there's enough, yeah.
Oh, right, interesting. So he can be bothered with his trainers, but he can be bothered with helmet.
I haven't got a daddy.
Jesus.
Wow, you are cruel to this kid. You
It's
got
just,
mean
this,
spirit
all
to
I'm
this
saying
kid.
is, there should be a leaflet.
I don't even know how he got in number 10, this little kid.
The thing is,
But he's got in, you should have at least a courtesy to listen to his point.
forget all, I'm sick and tired of having adverts on the telly. Don't smoke, wear an helmet, slow down, watch your kidneys, look after your
I
liver.
haven't seen that one.
No, I don't know why. Why can't they just put a leaflet through saying, hello everyone, use your common sense?
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking.
because
That's what I take
Because
out
some
as
people
president.
don't have common sense.
Everyone's
Some
got
people
common
are
sense.
fucking idiots,
Yeah,
mate.
It's not my fault
That's
then.
why there's that's
Not
why
my
there is
fault.
a government. If we let people, they'd be fucking idiots. They'd be eating turkey Twizzlers and fucking watching Big Brother and X Factor
But they
all
are
day,
doing. They are
and then
doing.
letting their kids run riot in
But
the
they
street.
are doing. Some families do just eat turkey Twizzlers.
Yeah.
There is little knobheads on bikes playing out till God knows what
Exactly.
hour. So it's happening anyway.
Yeah, but that's no argument, is it? It's happening anyway. That's no argument, Carl. It's what we've talked about here. Social responsibility. The reason people get into politics is because they feel it's their obligation to change those things. This is your approach. I wash my hands of the whole affair.
Yeah, I hope that the people who don't wear an helmet sort of they do themselves in, and that's cleared them off. That's one problem sorted.
So you think you're being Darwinian? You're thinking survival of the fittest. The idiots will soon, but they don't, because they're not just the victims. The dead person isn't the victim. It's the, a very good example is, okay, we've talked about it before, people who smoke know that it's dangerous. We know now that smoking gives you cancer. But why is that still legal? And yet people know that and they still smoke. Fat people know that they're going to get out of breath and clammy. And yet they still eat more. They get depressed, they're eating more. They know that they're going to be constipated for a year and a half, but they're still shoving in chocolate cake instead of carrots.
But because that's what I'm saying.
Why don't we stop them? Why don't we stop fat people eating? If you've got a smackhead and you really love him, you intervene, you grab him, you put in a cupboard, you go, you're not coming out. He goes mad for about a year, then he thanks you for it.
Yeah.
So lock fat people in a cupboard. And just
can't
put
get 'em
carrots
in.
under the door. What?
The thing is, there's got to be some
Carl,
responsibility.
grab Ricky. There's a cupboard over there.
You've got to take some responsibility, haven't you? Now, if it's your own fat kid, stick him in your cupboard. But what I'm saying is, as a counsellor, I'm not spending taxpayers' money on cupboards to put the fat kid in.
Hello, I'm Ricky Gervais. Philosophy is the science which considers truth. So said Aristotle, one of the great forefathers of Western philosophy. In its attempt to seek out the truths and principles of human existence, philosophy must answer questions of beauty, of justice, of language, indeed, of the mind itself. To help me consider some of the core concepts and presumptions of philosophical inquiry, I'm joined by Stephen Merchant, graduate of the University of Warwick, an award-winning writer.
It's a pleasure to be here.
And Karl Pilkington, a man with no education, didn't really go to school, no awards, head like a fucking orange, you know the twat.
Right.
To me, philosophy might be the greatest subject of all academic subjects, the mother of science, asking the big questions: why are we here, how do we live? But it's been sort of mugged and kidnapped by those people who put rubbish under the umbrella of philosophy.
Right.
Cod philosophy. I went to a library once, I looked in the philosophy section, and there was a book by Doris Stokes.
Doris Stokes being, for those that don't know,
A medium who said she was talking to the dead. There's crystals, feng shui.
Feng Shui. Yeah.
Oh, God.
The interesting thing about Feng Shui is how, I remember someone came into an office I was working in once and she said, you're going to need crystal here above the lavatory to get all the negative chi out of the system. And she said, this crystal is £25. And the guy went, we're not going to spend that. And she went, okay, I got one here for £5.
Brilliant.
It was surprisingly convenient that she had a number of different crystals that apparently did the same job.
We're also going to need a brush to get the shit out of the toilet. What have you got for that?
Yeah, there's a lot of that twaddle. There was a woman I remember once. I used to do a radio show on the BBC World Service. And she came in and she could tell from the coloured liquids that you chose, from a big selection of coloured liquids, she could tell a lot about your personality from that. So I picked up about 3 or 4, and she looked at them and I chose like a blue one, just arbitrary, and she looked at me and she said, okay, I get the sense that you like to communicate with people, but on a global level.
You were working for the World Service.
As we spoke, we were broadcasting on the World Service. I don't know where, I mean, she just read it from the liquids. As a novice, one of the key catchphrases, if you like, of philosophy, and one that's always intrigued and confused me a little, is the famous René Descartes quote, I think, therefore I am. A lot of people think of that as the epitome, in a way, of a philosophical statement. First
Thing we ever did, I think, at degree level, and it's the one thing I'd already heard of. It's one of those things that sort of filters down, cogito ergo sum, as you say, I think, therefore I am, when Descartes was pondering his existence. Just before we get to his conclusion, Karl, how do you know this isn't a dream?
Just because I haven't been sleeping that well.
Right, okay.
No, but you could still be dreaming, couldn't you? Because this could be a dream that you haven't been sleeping lately. You could be dreaming the last few nights you haven't been sleeping.
In dreams, they're different, like, I mean, like I say, I don't have that many of them because I don't sleep that well, but when I do have one, there's something different and vivid about it. Now, if I was dreaming all this, I reckon my boiler would have been fixed ages ago. I don't think anyone has a dream that goes on for that amount of time.
Well, it could be a nightmare, but the presumption, I think you're also presuming that the dream that you could be dreaming needs to be exactly the same as the dreams you think of when you're dreaming. My point is, there's no way of you knowing that this life you're living now as you talk to us is real, and that it's not actually the imaginings of another Karl somewhere else.
There are actually no clues, Karl. There are actually no clues now that this is the real thing.
Well, most of the time, it's 1 minute I'm awake, next minute I'm asleep, then I'm awake again.
Yeah.
Sleep's just...
Do you know the bit between you being awake and awake again? That's called a sleep.
Yeah.
Now, do you ever think things while you're asleep?
Vivid things.
It's that bit between the awake and awake I want to look at.
I'll tell you about one ages ago
Go on.
where you burst in and I was on the toilet.
I never heard this dream.
The one that it was like everyone was German and it was at some gig or something, and you opened the door and everyone was looking and laughing at me, and I'm sat on the toilet, and you sort of said, oh, that's probably because you're uncomfortable with
fame
being put on the limelight.
Yeah, like that you might be out, yeah, possibly, yeah.
But that's one dream that could be true.
But yeah, exactly. Or there is a likelihood that you think, I bet he's going to burst in.
I am always on edge when I use the toilet here.
Yeah,
I kind of think, is he busy at the moment?
You have to wait till he's on the phone to go for a piss.
I have to sit there holding the lock.
Yeah.
It's a weird
it
thing
isn't
to do.
normal. It's not normal.
But there's an example of a dream. But I think what you're failing to grasp is not so much the mechanics of whether this is a dream, but that you cannot know the truth of what you're experiencing. You cannot know that this is reality. It's a question about reality.
So
how do we know what reality is?
What reality is and what we like about reality. Robert Nozick did this thing that if you could go into a flotation tank and you led a whole virtual life and it was the best life possible, you did exactly what you've always wanted, you became the person you wanted to be, you did the best things you could ever dream of doing, and you literally couldn't tell the difference. So it was your life, okay? And you lived your biological life out in that tank and died at 80 and had the best life any person could ever have. You could pre-program it. Would you get into that tank knowing what you know now, knowing that you would have the best life ever, with no heartache, no upset, no loved ones dying?
So what's happening when I'm sort of having a packet of munchies?
Yeah.
Am I having them, or are they imaginary?
They're imaginary, but you can't tell the difference. It's the best packet of munchies you've ever had. I love the fact that you went into the flotation tank, and your one proviso was, "Are munchies as good?"
Yeah.
No,
absolutely.
I'm just taking it back to basics.
That is
Right.
basic.
You've got
yeah.
to pre-program your life. That's where you'd start, is it? Munchies must always taste magnificent.
Well, it's just that if you can still enjoy the basic things in life, then that's
Yeah,
when you can't
do.
go wrong.
You do. You enjoy them. It's the life you'd ever want to live, and
Yeah,
you're
a bit
living
dangerous,
it.
that. Bit
Sorry?
dangerous.
Bit dangerous.
Why? Go on. Why?
Just, I don't know, because sometimes I think things don't happen for the best, right?
Right.
Sometimes you can sort of think, oh, I'll enjoy that if that happens. And then it doesn't happen, and you've had time to think about
Ah,
what
but
would
this
have
is
happened.
perfect. No, this is built in, because whatever happens is for the best. So not only when you're in this flotation tank are you enjoying yourself, that things just keep getting better or staying
So
as
you
good.
never have a bad day.
You never have a bad day.
But how long would that last for before you go, I'm fed up with this?
Well, why would you get fed up with it? Because you do something else. It's the perfect life.
Bear in mind, you're not aware that you're in the flotation tank. You've made that deal, but then once you're in there, you don't know. You're not aware of being in the flotation tank. You're living your life, and it's perfect. You're happy. Well, we don't know how you would be happy. We just have munchies every day, and
Well, yeah,
it's
you'd get in it
munchies.
then. You'd get in it. If you don't know you've got in this tank, if I somehow go to bed at night, someone injects me in the head, and then they go, right, stick him in the tank now, and then I wake up, packet of munchies there, sun's out, Suzanne goes, oh, it's a nice day, we'll go and do something nice. And I go,
Right.
you're meant to be at work. And she goes, no, I don't have to go in today.
Right.
I go, alright, let's go out then.
Now, what's interesting there is that within this scenario, I gave you any life, you could do anything, and you chose the exact life you've got now, except Suzanne's got a day off. Now, I both love that.
Well, I was a
and
bit
sort of-
suspicious, though, that she's just taking a day off.
No,
willy-nilly.
wait, it's not happening now. It's not happening, really happening. You can do anything you like. But I like the fact now you even question it and you're not in the tank, and why has Suzanne got a day off, right? Now, I love that, because that suggests to me that you're a nice, happy, satisfied, whatever you want to do it, contented person who's got the perfect life. However, it's almost like you haven't fully understood the possibilities. For example, you wake up, there's the munchies, sunny day, Suzanne's not at work. You go, why aren't you at work?
Oh,
She
half a
goes
day
to you, hold on though, why are you flying? And you go, I just can. But you hadn't even thought that maybe you could fly or swim or hold your breath.
you just can have some
but-
munchies for
but
breakfast.
Hang on a minute, this is day one.
Oh, okay.
When you go on holiday,
Yeah.
like I said before, you don't turn up and go, right, it's 1 o'clock, jet ski for half an hour, bungee jump in 40 minutes after that, let's
Yeah.
have a nice roti,
Yeah.
and try a little cocktail.
And what do you do? What do you do when you arrive there?
Well, you get there,
Yeah.
the fella takes your case to the room,
Right.
you have that panic of, am I going to give him too much money? I don't know the currency well enough yet, I don't know how much
More
things
information
are.
than we asked for.
Yeah.
And
No.
the most mundane scenario I've ever heard.
No, but this is what happens in real life.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So you have that scenario. You go, right, where's my shorts? You get them on. You go out and have a wander.
In the case of
You have a wander round
Yeah.
to know where everything is. The
Car
shop,
park you did
the
once.
shop. How close the beach is.
Yeah.
Is it busy?
Yeah.
Okay, you're just telling us what happens when you go on holiday. What's your point?
Okay.
Because you don't want fun all in one go. You want to build to it because that's sometimes part of it.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So-
anticipation. Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Yeah, that little bit.
Yeah.
It's about things taking time, innit? Then looking back at the journey and going,
Yeah.
how did I get here?